Moving on now, the increasing cases of rape, sexual harassment and murder of women and girls continue to dominate discussions in Nigeria, with the demands for justice getting louder. While the country is yet to come to terms with the case in Benin, while Mozua, another girl, has been raped and murdered in church in Ibadan. And this has been going on, and the outrage from people is continuing. Joining me now is gender advocate and life coach Fumi Adewo Akomolede. It's nice to have you join me this morning.
Good morning.
Great. Now, these are very troubling times when it comes to the security of women and girls. This draws our attention to what we talk about and talk against, especially when you're talking about issues of rape. But from your perspective, when you heard of the incident in Benin and the one in Jigawa and the one in Ibadan, I wonder what came to your mind? Let me start. How did you react to this? In fact, let me start from there.
It's very saddening and it's appalling. And as a woman and a mother, that's tough to take on. But then we're talking about gender-based violence in Nigeria. It's not new. It's been on forever, but right now, because of communication, social media, information, it's getting out louder and louder every day. So my thing now is, you know, we all know what sexual gender-based violence means. It's an act or attempt or threat of a sexual nature that results or is likely to result in physical harm, psychological, emotional harm, and even death. And the instances we're talking about right now involves murder. And in Nigeria, we have, not just Nigeria, globally, but we're specific to Nigeria right now. The forms of gender-based violence comprises of rape, molestations, domestic violence, trafficking, and etc. You know, there are so many types of, and it's not peculiar to just a type of gender. It could be female or male, but mostly we focus on female. But it could be either way, it could go either way. And I think for me, you know, personally, what are the things to do of this going forward?
Exactly, because that's a big question.
Yes.
We've been asking this, especially, in fact, from some advocates who have spoken. They said that when you report these cases to the police responds, but they're not very committed sometimes.
And this goes
to this course.
Okay, this goes back to awareness, education.
Awareness on the side of the police.
On the side of the police, training, information, because it's like I said, it's not new, but it's been covered for a long time.
But there are standard laws against these, and we expect that the law enforcement officer should know what the law says when it comes to issues of rape, when it comes to issues of murder, based on issues like this.
Again, I'm going back to education and information. Yes, there's a law, but how many of the law enforcement agencies are aware of all these laws? How do they get to train? Are they aware of what to do when somebody reports a case of rape and then the policeman is asking you, how many times have you been raped? Then you withdrew because you're already in pain and somebody's asking you, how many times did he rape you? How long was he on top of you? So it traumatizes you. And then at the end of the day, there's no kind of, they're telling you to write down the incidents when you're already in trauma. And at the end of the day, there's no follow-up to the guy you're reporting, except you have somebody, which is kind of a system, somebody to help you to push, or you have to see the head of the police department. You know, you're pushed away. And even because of stigmatization, or even the family, most of the time it's watered down. We've given you some money, so can you just keep quiet? You know, your child will be seen, or you can even be hurt. You know, in some instances, even in the neighbors, they will tell you, are you the only one that knows what's going on? Can't you just keep your mouth shut? So you withdrew. And that's what is going on in the environment. There's no justice, there's no listening voice.
All right. At times like this, we expect everyone, any right-thinking person, to take this kind of courses on, you take it head on. But if we are not seeing that kind of response from everybody who is supposed to, respond to it, especially when it comes to the system, from the government down, how about those agencies like, or bodies like women who, because there are women lawyers, they have a union, there are women journalists, they have a union, and things like that. We don't see much of them taking up this as it concerns them even more, as much as it also concerns the society.
Yeah, the UNFPA is one of the agencies that is working to address the situation. But then they have to fund. It also depends on finance. There's funding needed. And there's so many agencies that are also advocating to be part of this. So for me, the key thing is, first of all, there has to be a lot of awareness through the social media, through the media partners. They take it on, taking the burden of the finances. Like, when you're in the news, there's a section, now COVID is on. Every station, every media is talking about COVID. Even TVC has a 5-minute clip to talk about how to wash your hands, how to take on COVID, how to avoid all that stuff. So this is something that is also key. The awareness should be very, very out there in every kind of platform that is available.
All right.
And even in education, in schools, at home, when your child tells you something, please listen. Don't push it away. Don't discard it. Listen and learn to trust whoever is giving you the information.
Now, the National Assembly, there was controversy generated recently when at the House of Representatives there was a bill to recommend castration for those who perpetrate rape and things like that. And others said, no, we shouldn't, that was too much and all of that. And it generally, in fact, on social media was on fire because of that reaction. What do you make of that?
For me, I think castration is not the answer. I mean, because it cuts across board, and you and I know that it happens even in high levels. I mean, look at the instance of the senator who violated the lady, slapped her because he wanted to buy toys in the store, and after some time it fizzled out. Nothing happened. That's part of violence. Now, if the House says no to castration, there are things that can be done. We can emulate from the other countries that they have a list of pedophiles, they had a list of, as a sexual offender, if you want to take on an employment, there's a form that says, have you committed felony, which comes under sexual violence. And that's the key. Felony involves sexual violence that you've been caught, financial fraud. So you will be exposed, and that will affect.
And that deters a lot of.
That deters a lot of things. So if you have that is even more than castration. I mean, you will be labeled, and everybody would know that this is a.
And it could even deprive you from benefiting anything in the future.
In future,
Thank you so much, Fumi Adewon Akomolade, for your time on the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Joining me now is gender advocate and life coach Fumi Adewon Akomolade. It's nice to have you join me this morning.
Thank you.
Great. Now, if you go on social media, Twitter and Facebook, you will see the trending hashtag justice for Uwa, and then justice for for all those victims who have of victims of rape. If we have to talk about the issue of justice at this time, what really will be justice enough for this kind of barbaric activity?
Yeah, but justice, in my own opinion, is there should be policies, laws, and order, because you can't just decide this is what you want. So there should be laws that will guide the law enforcement, the court, and once it is found to be true, if there's a specific rule that this is a decision, either life imprisonment without parole or with parole, death sentence, as the case may be, because, I mean, some rape leads to murder, some don't lead to murder. So you have to look at different cases. Yes, rape, molestations, but then some are self-inflicted. I'm a woman, but there's also things that we women have to watch out for. in the home.
Self-inflicted?
Yes, self-inflicted.
Can you explain that for us to understand?
Okay, now you have someone who you already have a relationship with, and then you broke up and you went back to that same scenario, and you are in the person's space. So you're a man. A woman comes to you in your own space. Yes,
but
she said no.
Would that justify anyone, whether you are the man, would that be justification to rape anyone?
There is no justification, but then it's now a case of how well you can present your case. Because she's in your space, just like some people are advocating husbands can rape women in our own culture. You live in the same house, you're married, you've done all the needy, and then still, if the woman says no, the man is expected to calm down. If not, it could be described, or the woman can sue you for rape, and yet you're married. So there's so many, it must be specific. And you have to look at the situation on case by case. But where it leads to murder, then that is specific. Then there must be justice.
All right. Let me bring the issue of parenting in here now, because everyone who perpetrates this act comes from a home somehow, and then maybe grows into becoming whatever they become. But parenting, how can parenting help in this aspect when it comes to grooming young people not to think in certain ways?
Parenting is when you have that, which is some of the things they are also discussing, how to prevent. Parenting is very key, but nowadays you find that parents don't even have time. And when we say gender-based violence, it doesn't have to be all girls, it could be boys. I mean, it's not even a story, it's a 4-year-old male who the house help was actually molesting in the house. And until the camera was set in place, that was when the mother saw the act of what she does to the boy every day. So parenting is key. Parents have relinquished their duties to maids, from work, husband gets out by 5:30, wife get out of the house by 5:30. All the activities of the house are left to the house help. So you can't really tell. So you have to be very watchful.
Yeah, but if I have to bring in this, certainly for a city like Lagos, for instance, and some of the metropolitan, like maybe Abuja and all of that, one can agree that parents will wake up as early as 3 a.m., 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. to leave the house and all of that. But that may not necessarily be the same situation for other states who don't belong to that class as well. So are we still going to use this as?
No,
okay.
Some parents are negligent.
Okay.
Without all these scenarios of Lagos, Abuja, even in Lagos, you find parents that the woman doesn't go to work, or she doesn't get out of bed until like 9. The house chores or the uncle, in the house just give her report of what is done. Or are my kids, have they had their bath? Have they eaten breakfast?
And so it stops at that.
And it stops at that. Okay. And then you just want to do the mom, 2-3 an hour of fun with the kids. You don't even know what goes on, how things are done. Yeah. So again, parenting is key. With communication now and media and gadgets, you can install all that in your house, but you still have to listen to your kids. You have to open your eyes and watch for little details.
And communicate
with your kids. And more importantly, listen to them.
All right. We have to leave it here now. Thank you so much, Fumi Adewale Komolede, for your time on the program.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate you.
Thank you.